It had been several months since my mother, Angel, passed away, but some days the pain still felt fresh, like a weight pressing down on my chest. I missed her terribly. She wasn't just my mother, she was the quiet center of my world, but even in our closeness, I often felt like I lived in the shadows of my older sister, Margaret. My name is Rebecca. I'm 27 and I paint for a living, small commissions, the occasional mural, and sometimes pet portraits just to cover rent. I've never been the loud one, never the kind of person who demands the spotlight, but sometimes I wondered if that was exactly why Mom always seemed to favor Margaret. It hurt, but I never said much. I just tried to be there whenever Mom needed me. Margaret, on the other hand, had everything tied up in a pretty bow, a nice house, a husband, a stable life, and no matter what she did, Mom always defended her, always made excuses. Margaret never had to do much, but she still got all the praise. Meanwhile, I was the one picking up the pieces. When Mom's health started to decline, it became clear that she needed to be closer to one of us. Margaret offered to let her move into the guest house on her property, an old space behind their main house that hadn't been used in years. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was helping Mom pack up some of her things when Margaret wandered in with that usual smug tone. "Why are you always so dramatic, Rebecca?" she said, rolling her eyes. "I'm giving her a roof over her head, aren't I?" I froze. The way she said it, it made it sound like she was doing some huge favor. "She's our mother," I said quietly but firmly, "and she's paying rent to live in that guest house. It's not charity, Margaret." She shrugged, leaning in the doorway, arms crossed like she was above it all. "You know how many people would kill for this setup. She's lucky to have me." Lucky? That word stung. "Lucky that I'm handling everything while you collect the praise," I muttered under my breath. Margaret didn't respond. She just turned and walked back toward her main house, leaving me there with a knot in my chest. Then came the diagnosis. Lymphoma, the doctor said 6 months, maybe a year. I remember my hands shaking as I called Margaret to tell her. "It's bad," I said quietly, holding back tears. "It's lymphoma. We don't have much time." There was silence for a moment, and then her voice came through the phone, flat and emotionless. "Well, that sucks, but at least she's got her little house, right?" I was stunned. "That's all you have to say? That sucks? She's dying, Margaret. What do you want me to do, Rebecca? Quit my life and become her full-time nurse?" "No," I said, my voice rising, "but maybe show some basic human compassion, maybe take her to an appointment, spend time with her." She sighed like I was being unreasonable. "I'm doing what I can, don't make this about you." I hung up. There was no point continuing the conversation. Margaret had always known how to twist things, to make herself the victim even when she was never the one carrying the weight. As Mom grew weaker from the treatment, she relied on me more and more. I was the one helping her eat, managing her meds, keeping her spirits up. Margaret, in theory, was handling the finances, paying bills, watching the bank account. Mom trusted her with that part, so I let it go, even though I had doubts. Then one day, Mom pulled me aside. "Rebecca," she said gently, "can you check my bank balance? I've been a little worried about some upcoming bills." "Of course, Mom," I said, kissing her forehead. "I'll go today." I expected it to be routine, but when the bank teller handed me the statement, my heart dropped. The account was nearly empty. Mom had sold her car a while back to build up some savings for medical expenses. That money was supposed to be there, but it was gone, all of it. And the statement showed a large withdrawal, almost the entire balance. The name on the transaction? Margaret Bennett. I stared at the paper, my hands trembling. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Margaret wouldn't do that, she couldn't. But there it was, clear as day. I walked outside, barely able to breathe, and called her. "What's up?" she said casually. "What's up?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "Margaret, why did you empty Mom's bank account?" There was a long pause before she answered. "Rebecca, calm down, it's not what you think." "Not what I think," I snapped. "You took everything, and it's all there, your name, the date, the amount. You stole from her." "I didn't steal," she said, annoyed now. "It's a loan. I needed money for some home repairs. I was going to pay it back." "You didn't even tell her," I said. "She trusted you. She asked me to check because she was worried about buying groceries." "Margaret." "She doesn't need to know," Margaret said coldly. "She's already dealing with enough. and I will put it back. You took every last cent she had, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She's dying, and you're stealing from her. You're being dramatic again, she snapped. I'm trying to handle things the best I can. No, I said firmly, you're taking advantage of a sick woman and hoping no one finds out. You're not going to tell her, Margaret said sharply. It would only make things worse for her, think about that. I couldn't respond. I was too furious, too disgusted. I hung up. Later that night, I called my best friend, Laura. As soon as she picked up, I broke down. It's Margaret, I said through tears. I told her everything, about the bank account, the money, Margaret's cold attitude. She expects me to keep quiet, I said bitterly, like she's doing Mom a favor. Laura was silent for a beat, then she said, Rebecca, this isn't okay, you can't let her get away with this. What if she never pays it back? Your mom needs that money. I know, I whispered, but if I tell Mom, it'll destroy her, and Margaret knows that. Which is exactly why she's using it against you, Laura said gently. She knows you won't risk upsetting your mom, but you have to do something. You can't let her walk all over you. I don't know how, I admitted. Margaret doesn't listen, and George, her husband, he's no help. He's just as smug and self-righteous. You're not alone in this, Laura said softly. I'll help however I can, but Rebecca, you need to stand your ground. I sat there in silence, her words echoing in my ears. I was tired of always being the one holding everything together, tired of being silent while Margaret played the saint. Something had to change, I just didn't know how to start. But for the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe I didn't have to face it all alone. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Margaret had just walked in wearing a brand new designer coat, something expensive, flashy, and definitely not bought on a budget, and all I could think about was Mom's empty bank account. You really have the nerve, I said, my voice trembling with anger. You drained Mom's account, and now you're out here buying designer clothes like it's nothing. How do you even sleep at night? Margaret's expression changed in an instant. The fake politeness vanished from her face, replaced by something cold and sharp. She took a step closer to me, lowering her voice like she was issuing a threat. I told you already, it was a loan, she said through gritted teeth, and if you actually care about Mom, then you'll drop it. Do you really want to tell her? Do you want her to worry about something she doesn't need to know? I stared at her, barely able to control the storm building inside me. My heart was pounding, and my fists were clenched so tight they hurt. You're unbelievable, I said. Mom deserves to know the truth. She deserves better than this, better than you. Margaret leaned in even closer, her voice full of poison now. If you tell her, you'll break her heart. She's already sick. Rebecca, do you really want to be the reason she gets worse? Think about that before you open your mouth. Her words hit me hard, but not in the way she wanted. They didn't scare me, they enraged me. How dare she twist things like that? How dare she act like she was protecting Mom, when she was the one hurting her the most? And in that moment, it all came rushing back, years of memories, of watching Margaret take while Mom looked the other way. This wasn't new behavior. When we were kids, Margaret used to sneak into Mom's purse and take money, not for emergencies, just things she wanted, movie tickets, makeup, concerts. She'd lie about it, of course, but Mom would always find out eventually. And every time, instead of getting angry, Mom would just let it slide. Oh, Margaret, she'd sigh, you should have just asked. That was it, no punishment, no real consequences, just more gentle words and forgiveness, over and over again. I used to stand there, stunned, wondering how Margaret always got away with it, but I already knew the answer. Mom loved her too much, or maybe she just believed in her too much. Even as we got older, nothing changed. I remember the time Margaret borrowed Mom's car without asking and crashed it into a pole. She was fine, thank God, but the car was totaled. Instead of being angry, Mom held her while she cried and said, "It's just a car. What matters is that you're okay." Meanwhile, I stood off to the side, invisible again. Mom always gave Margaret the benefit of the doubt. She used to say, "She's your sister, Rebecca. She's not perfect, but she means well." That phrase haunted me, she means well. It was Mom's way of forgiving everything, every lie, every excuse, every betrayal. But this time was different. This wasn't a teenage mistake. This wasn't borrowing $20 without asking. This was theft. Deliberate, cold, cruel. And deep down, I feared that even if Mom found out, she'd still forgive her. That's just the kind of person Mom was, kind, trusting, always hoping people would do the right thing if given enough love. But Margaret didn't care about love. She and her husband George cared about one thing: money. Always had. To them, people were either useful or disposable. If you weren't rich or impressive, you didn't matter. I'd seen it in the way they talked to people, neighbors, relatives, even strangers. Like Mrs. Hathaway, the sweet old woman down the street who used to bring over homemade cookies for Mom. One day, she came over for tea, wearing her usual worn sweater and gentle smile. She was kind and soft-spoken, always asking how Mom was doing. But when Margaret and George stopped by that same afternoon and saw her, they looked at her like she was dirt. George didn't even say hello. Margaret barely acknowledged her. Later, Margaret pulled me aside and whispered, "Why does Mom even bother with people like that? What can they possibly offer her?" I remember feeling sick hearing her say that. But the biggest irony? Margaret and George weren't even as rich as they pretended to be. They were up to their necks in debt, always borrowing money, refinancing their house, juggling credit cards. Margaret once slipped and admitted it to me after too many drinks. She laughed it off, saying, "It's just temporary. George's investments will pay off soon." But they never did. Their whole life was a show, a performance. The nice cars, the expensive clothes, the huge house, it was all just a cover for how unstable everything really was. And now, watching Margaret use Mom's savings to keep up that fake lifestyle made my blood boil. Mom sold her car to put money away, to make sure she'd be okay when she got sick. She pinched pennies, skipped out on things she wanted, just to save a little more, all so she wouldn't be a burden. And Margaret took every last bit of it. For handbags, for shoes, for fake perfection. It made me feel sick, angry, powerless. Mom deserved so much more than this. She deserved peace, comfort, love. But all she got was betrayal, from the person she trusted most. And no matter how hard I tried to protect her, I was starting to realize that I couldn't do it alone. Not when Margaret was willing to lie, steal, and guilt me into silence. Not when she was willing to do anything to keep her perfect image intact, even if it meant destroying our mother's dignity to do it.